Good morning, everybody. And before we start the video here, I'm Snyder. You may have seen me a little less dressed on TV. I'm a guy that puts himself in precarious positions and probably an adrenaline junkie. And after 25 years in the military, 2 different combat tours with the Gulf War in '91 and Operation Iraqi Freedom, seems like I can't get out of my system. At age 51, I am a living, breathing specimen of that. You should never let your dreams go unanswered, and you should always chase them. And so that's what I'm living, and by God's grace, bringing His message that He's called upon me to bring to people. So my business is me. I am my business. I am a one-man show, and I've never went to any formal business training, but I'm an old soldier with a can-do attitude and the right mindset. You can get anything done in life. You just got a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. Hopefully you don't break too many things, lose too much money as you're doing it. And that's kind of a value I see that I bring. I'm a special service company because I do so many different things. I motivationally speak. I'm also a survival instructor privately. I do leadership and team building seminars and we have workshops, those kinds of things that I do. I write, I do videos, I do a lot of broad things. So I'm kind of a problem solver. If somebody comes to me with, hey, we'd like you to, can you do this for us? I do a lot of consulting in the survival world, military expert, just overall problems. I like to get after it and figure it out. Hopefully on Thursday, if all goes well, I have an interview with Discovery Channel to get my own show. So moving forward, that kind of thing for me is I have to reach millions of people and get the word and the message out about having a positive mind, a good mindset, a positive attitude, can-do attitude, and just never quitting, going forward, that people can conquer and survive anything in life. You don't have to be a 6'3", 250-pound guy with a knife to go out and tackle an alligator, but you may be facing a life-threatening illness, a challenge with substance abuse, relationships issue, whatever. So call me some kind of a crazy extreme life coach, maybe. I don't know. But this is what I do, and I am here local. That's the great thing. When people see me at the gas station, like, what are you doing here? Well, I live here. I retired from the military. My wife's family was here. We are fighting some cancer issues within my own family, and that's why we're here. So I try to give back to the community. So after 8 years of living in this great city, people still don't know I'm a viable tool here. So maybe some of you can help me figure out how to get that word out, because I've been my own webmaster. I'm currently on my 4th webmaster, and he's really good. So I've gone through a lot of growing pains that if I had some formal training or figured some things out, maybe early on, had some right people help me, it would have been a little easier. But we go through these lessons for a reason. And I never turn away these rough lessons, because we call it pain-based learning. If you touch the stove, Mama said, don't touch the stove, it's hot. You go, oh no, it is hot. No, it's not really hot. Well, after about the 3rd time, you know you're going to not touch that stove anymore, and it goes to a place in the brain where it never leaves. So through my pain-based learning, I've just my son attends FTCC here, and I was looking through the summer brochure about the classes coming up, so I may see some of you giving me some pointers, because I've seen some really good stuff in there, and it was free, which is a really good price for me, and on social marketing and those things. So like I said, I'm a problem solver even for myself, and if I find these things, I get there and I figure it out. But if you don't know who I am, you might have seen this before, maybe you're at the Leadership Summit, but I'm going to play a little bit of a video about some of the things I do and where I come from, and this is really me. I am my business. I am Skullcrusher LLC. I am the Skullcrusher. So I'm very big into branding myself and being able to get out there and do these things. Everything from motivational speaking to doing celebrity appearances at charity events and venues to teaching survival, and then a lot of leadership building amongst a few other things. So if we could run the demo reel. Can you blow it up? My name is Snyder. I'm a retired 25-year Army vet. I've been married for 20 years, got 2 great kids, and currently work as a SEER instructor for the Special Warfare Center out at Fort Bragg. I've been on survival missions all over the world, but this will be my first in Africa. And this place is absolutely awe-inspiring, just gorgeous. But we're gonna have to be on our toes, 'cause I just can see every little spot where a predator can be just prowling around. Come on, blow it. There you go. I told you.
Go for it.
Keep moving. Keep moving. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Yeah. We got fire.
Yes! You got him!
I'm a little excitable. Yeah, it's deep. All right. Yeah! Look at that. That's dinner.
It's one of the harshest things I ever attempted to do. This was tough. This was tough. Just never quitting, that's the thing. That's what our survival story is. We were down several times, but weren't out. I know I'm a changed man. I'll never forget this.
It's right, it's through the stick.
Oh! Yeah!
Yeah, you're right.
Whoa!
I know.
You! 1,500 volts to my body! Take that, Columbia!
Referred to the avenue of approach is the most likely way an enemy will come upon you. And so we always set up a defensive position thinking about these things. First thing I'm going to do is strip down the parachute cord, and I'm going to get enough cordage to string lines across from tree to tree to set up a tripwire system. I need to make some noisemakers to hang on this tripwire. I think the lanterns we use in the cavern will make the perfect thing. We won't be able to see, but we can definitely hear. So when a bear comes through our perimeter and hits this tripwire system, it's going to make those noisemakers go off. That will alert Jeff and I to be ready and get up on full alert in case the bear comes into our camp.
Perfect.
BJ! What's wrong?
My hand's gone!
Dude, what can I do?
Sit tight!
I'm in some serious pain. I got 250 pounds, a nylon rope I just made, and it's pinched in there.
All right. I got it free!
Working?
Working like a charm, Jeff! On the bottom!
Now with my feet safe on the ground, my concern's for Jeff.
Okay.
This is one tough climb. It's a little bit steeper than I thought. I'm just praying that my fingers, after getting smashed in the rappel, have enough strength to get me to the top safely.
Here goes.
Oh man, that's rough, huh?
That was over.
The Messiah had a rite of passage. When they became men, they had to go out, and they stayed out in the wild, and they had to kill a lion. They had these spears, and they had a bit of a spike on the one end, and they had a flat end, nice and sharp, here. And what would happen is, when the lion would come, they'd impale themselves on the end of the spear. I'm going to make a few of these spears, and then what we're going to do is place these in certain areas of the perimeter, because we're in a tight circle. If there's multiple lions, we need to have these on our blind spots so we each run to our battle station and get ready for a fight. This sapling's perfect. So I'm looking at the security situation here, and the number one threat we have is venomous snakes. I'm making spears. Perfect. I've got a snake in with a nice fork on it, so if I got a threat of a snake, pin them down, coming in there with the knife, take its head off, thing's done. If I run into anything bigger, I'm gonna cut this into a nice spear point, so I've got double business spear here. Snake end, spear end. Now I'm gonna make one for Jeff.
You know, I'm old enough to be Jeff's dad, but I feel more like a brother to him. And that's what's so uncanny.
Doesn't get much better than this, huh?
My kid brother was the best fisherman on the planet. He was taken away from us a little too early, and I miss him.
Well, let's get some more.
But then I meet Jeff, and it's kind of like I'm with my kid brother all over again. I mean, I can feel the spirit with me.
You want to string this one up? I'll wait for the next one to swim in.
You got it, man.
Boy.
I feel like I'm out here with blood. And when you got two brothers in a fight together, there's nothing you can't do.
You don't need to watch my acting stuff. I've done a little bit of acting too as well. So that was my dream. At 18, my mother said, she said, what do you want to do with your life? I said, well, I want to be an actor and a stuntman. I think that's what I'm destined to do in my life. Oh, that's a bad idea. What? Oh, that's crazy. You'll starve. You can't go out to LA. You'll never make it. And I'm like, wow, you're my mom. I'm thinking to myself, after the hard life I've had, making it to 18 was a miracle in itself. Poor kid growing up in Jersey in some really rough neighborhoods, no dad in his life, having to figure it out. How I make it in this world. My whole life story is about surviving and scrapping and overcoming obstacles. And that's what my message is to bring to people. So my mom told me this, and that's when I joined the Army. So at the back end of my Army career in Hawaii, they do a little acting out there. So I decided that was my hobby. Because surfing and MMA fighting, they were saying you're getting a little old, you might want to look at some other hobby. And I'm like, all right, that's what you want. So I started doing some acting, had a little stint on Lost and some other stuff. But then when I got out of the Army, retired, and I came here, I started teaching survival for the Army with the SEER course for about 5 or 6 years as a contractor. And then my two worlds collided, TV and survival. So I am my business. That's a little bit about me and my TV stuff going on. I did say I spent 25 years in the Army, and so, like I said, I'm full of grit, probably hard as nails, but very personable at times. You can see my energy level, and I'm very passionate about life and everything I do in it. And so that's kind of what I bring to the table to enhance other people's events, inspire them to be better than they are. I'm into a lot of things, and probably need to get some help soon. Intern or something, because I'm a one-man show. I do all my own marketing, social media. Most of my management, I have a manager who manages my bigger side of life for my TV side and some of the bigger venues I do. But for the most part, I'm it. I manage everything from my speaking engagements to my classes, scheduling, all that. I live and die by my calendar, which I swore when I left the Army I'd never do, but I do that now. So, so as you can see on my little flyer there, it's some of the things I do offer, and like I said, I'm not outside of a lot of things. I'm currently moved into branding and gear stuff. I just did an As Seen on TV commercial, which should be out this month. I just did a PSA spot for North Carolina Veterans Fair Housing Act. So I do a lot of voiceover work. I do some commercial stuff. But the great thing is for this community is I'm here. And people would think, well, you're on TV, you got to be very expensive. No, I'm very reasonable. My rates are, you know, I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit too, but I do cut a hometown rate for most people. So as a matter of fact, this weekend I'll be helping a mom and pop business with their grand opening out in Rayford for 3 hours to appear. And I'll just be quite frank and honest. I told them my price. They couldn't, it was just a little too much for them. And I said, okay, well, I appreciated meeting you guys at the Evolution Inc. Spring Fling where I was at. So I'll cut it in half. So for $250, I'll be out there gripping and grinning and taking pictures with babies or whatever, but because that's what I do. And I bring a whole setup of things that people can see my adventures and touch, and kids like playing with the spears or whatever. Hopefully don't poke each other. Their parents' supervision, but you know, and then I offer, you know, T-shirts, fire starters, different merchandise to sell. A lot of my, you at least 10 to sometimes 20% of my profits, I always put back to my charities I work for. I just came back from Reality Rally in California with this great breast cancer resource center where I've put my services to that and helping raise money, raised over $8,000 myself. A lot of it thanks to the Fayetteville community donating to that. It's a resource center I really believe in that I'm hoping will become the national model for other cities. It's a great place. And now I'm moving on to my next big charity, which is Give Kids the World Village in Florida, where these little kids that are facing life-threatening illnesses, they get to go see Mickey Mouse with their whole family of 10 members, everything's paid for. So that's what's in my heart. That's what drives EJ Snyder. I'm always trying to give back. I always said if you ever became semi-famous or notorious, even for putting your naked butt across the entire world to see, you should give back. And so part of my business is about giving back and helping others. And so, just trying to keep the lights on and keep my kids in school here. So that's what I am at this time. I'll take any of your questions, or if you have any advice to give me, that'd be great. Yes, ma'am.
So EJ, business-wise, are you an LLC? Are
Yes.
you?
Yes, I'm a sole proprietor LLC. I would love to make America great and hire a lot more people and have a bigger company. My vision's always looking forward. I'm not one person to say, okay, I'm going to just close it off at this. I am a visionary. I know things can be bigger, be grander. I connect people and things together to help them, help each other. Because without an alliance and helpers within each other, you need to know who's to your left and right. Yes, in some businesses it's competition that you're fighting against, but I don't think there's much in my world that I'm competing against here. But I know other businesses have to do that, and so maybe you don't want to be friends with your fellow T-shirt marketer. But for me, I know there's power and strength, and if we help each other, somehow. I don't never close a door because I don't know. I go to these events, I don't know who's the next person I'm going to meet that's going to lead me to my next speaking engagement, get the word out about my survival seminars going on the weekends, because there's 3 things on the planet I always think everyone should know how to do. One is swim, basic first aid, and basic survival. Because any of those 3 things will save your life. You never know when you're going to fall into a river where a survival situation is going to happen. I'm working currently on a book right now that will be released hopefully after the summer, which is about surviving life. The things that you face in life, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally, and getting through those things. So it's not your average bear survival book, like many of my associates in the survival world write. Most of them want to write a book about killing grizzlies and doing that stuff, and there's plenty of those out there. I don't have any concern for that. I want to help my fellow man, and so that's. So.
How do you translate this, which I watch, and I'm obviously impressed with your survival and your physical skills, but how do you take that survival thing and now translate that where you can market yourself to the survival skills, to overcoming illness, overcoming disabilities, is this your marketing video, or do you have something else where you show how those can
That's
go
a
from one?
great question. And like I said, I'm on my 4th webmaster. He's pretty good. This is a video that we've thrown up there. We're working through that. We do need, I know, another video possibly to show that. And what we're doing is on my tabs here of my website, there's each section talks about, like in my motivational speaking, there'll be videos of me speaking. There'll be some of this other stuff we're talking about. For me, what it is yes, is everyone going to go out there and kill an electric eel to live for the day? Probably not. But they are going to face some challenges. So what I talk about is the right mindset, the attitude, the tools that you need in your mental capacity to problem solve and face these walls that pop up. Because I'm a guy about, if you put a wall in front of me, if I can't get around it, over it, or under it, I'm going to find a way to go through it. But it is not going to stop me. And so that's what I try to translate to people about, you can survive anything in life. You don't have to be a 6'3", 250-pound, knuckle-dragging old infantryman combat vet to get through things. And people are facing some hard things. I see people facing cancer all the time. For instance, the one thing I didn't see coming for me going out on Naked and Afraid, doing the the naked survival thing in Tanzania. When I got back, I received tens of thousands of messages from people that would watch this and translate it back into their own life. A friend of mine's wife was facing cancer, 20-year Air Force veteran, retired. But before she retired, she had been fighting cancer for well over 3 years, brain cancer. And the thing that was keeping her going was watching these TV shows and watching how we would face certain problems and try to apply that same mental attitude, that positive attitude, that can do, while she was getting beat down by going through chemo and everything, kept her going. She swears that it kept her on this earth for 4 more years than when she was supposed to be gone 3 months later when they diagnosed her. She started watching this. So that's the thing I bring, is that you see what we're doing out there, you see what we're facing, but what if that's you're getting bullied in school? So how do you translate asking for help, having the courage, the personal courage to step up and say, hey, I need some help, or I'm watching somebody get bullied. How could I let that go on without being a good citizen and trying to lend a hand out? So that's kind of, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Well, you're asking for suggestions perhaps.
Right.
If you can take a physical act like that and then say the same thing that I dealt with trying to get up that,
Right.
Get my fingers dislodged or whatever it was, that same critical thinking can, and then
I understand.
explain that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Or to take your some of your segments, like with the electric eel, it was a shocking experience, and then translate it over. Life gives us shocking experiences. We don't expect this, and this, and happen.
Right.
To deal with being able to kill this eel, to be able to have the dinner, I had to overcome my fear. I had to overcome what I knew was inevitable and coming.
Right.
And so taking the internal that is not always easy to talk about, the feelings and the translation, and translating it out. Wow. From each experience.
You just nailed it. Like, you gave me goosebumps just talking about that, and that's exactly what.
The second, I know I have to translate, this is all very helpful to me for more things than you know, because, I'm trying to figure out, get my hand around a lot of this stuff, and it's like handling electric eel and trying to figure out what people are seeing. I know they're seeing it. I know they're trying to translate it back into their life, and as you said, sir, how do I show a video and then put it in terms of where other people can understand? So.
Yeah, this is cool, but when I watch it, it says to me, I'm only going to use you as a motivational speaker or whatever when we're talking about this physical side of things. How do I survive out there with a knife and no clothes or whatever, that type of thing. And I don't have an audience all the time for something like that, so it's just,
I
I'd like
understand.
to see
Yeah.
So taking your
something more that you
experiences,
could do
making them
for us,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, it's,
Translate.
most people, like I said, I'm an outside the box guy, I came here today thinking I was going to be speaking to people about my business and trying to get help to encourage it. I didn't know it was going to be this. But as I stand here, I handle the situation. This is what I'm getting, and it's helpful. So maybe that's on me, but I'm, like I said, this is how I handle situations. I move into things, sometimes blind. That's what I do. So I have to figure out a way to, how do I translate, like just this very situation I'm going through right now. How do I figure out, I'll leave here today and I'll analyze everything and say, okay, what happened to me in here? How do I make this better for me in the future? How do I take this very situation or what you see here and translate it, like you said, to things? And I understand that. If people have been to my any of my motivational speeches and things that I do speak about, very energetic, it's very inspiring. And the big thing I have to do is find out what is the message. What is your company, or what is your like I was speaking to Edwards Jones Financial 3 months ago. So here's this survival guy coming in to talk about how can I help these brand new financial planners. And so I had to figure out, one, what was their mission statement, what message were they talking about that day, and how can I fit in there. And so I had to go back, like you said, retailer what I was talking about to fit that situation. And it doesn't always fit in a nice, pretty box. So I have to go back and reanalyze things. But I appreciate your thoughts on that. I know I need to probably fix that.
So you may want to consider a team approach to that whole translation thing, because
Were you,
You mentioned like the emails and the letters and the things that you got and
Mhm.
how they showed you how your experiences were helping them to deal with things. In the same way, when I saw that clip, I saw something that everybody else in the room saw, a different spin, a different take.
Mhm.
And in my life, it may apply in one way, and in somebody else's, it may apply in another. So as you're reformatting that section to make it more applicable for that type of a situation, pull in a team, have conversations, find 4, 5, 10, however many you feel comfortable with, sit in, all right, let's watch this clip. What messages can we get from it? What can we see from it? Where can this be applied in real life? What kind of situations? And then take it and make it what you want it.
in some of my workshops I've done, if you went to the leadership council, you would see that. I mean, we talked a lot about trust, a lot about communications through teamwork, a lot about, attention to detail. Some of these things I designed, some people that have been in the military might have seen some of our leadership reaction courses that you got to go through and work through these things. And a lot of that's is stuff that we bring to the table. It's just trying to figure out, like you said, fitting in the right package for whatever. For me, it's about meeting with a client, potential client. What is it you need? Dissecting what is your message? What are you trying to get at this? And then problem solving. Okay, this is what I can do for you. And some of that is see this, relate it. I put them through. I'll teach people how to start a fire right there on the spot and put them through some stressors. And what does that teach them about? Well, if you're starting with maybe your business and it starts out, you just don't see the possibility, but if I teach you how to build it correctly from a foundation, that those things will work and everything's systematic. But I appreciate it though.
And I think sometimes even like the assumption that people get it is not something you can make, because even though I'm impressed, like while I'm watching this, I'm thinking that could never be me. That could never, I barely even want to see a snake. If I see a snake, I probably will drop down and faint from lack of blood going to my brain. So it's like, until she said something, I was like, oh my God, oh yeah, this is how it applies to me, because I would have never even thought of it that way, in the sense of like, I do use critical thinking skills when I'm faced with challenges in every single step. So being able to highlight that for someone, sometimes a video just doesn't necessarily translate into how is it going to work for my team or what I do in my life. Even in the classroom as an instructor, dealing with students who are going through a lot throughout the semester and then they're falling off, they're not doing their work. How can I use some of this to help them deal with what's going on in their life and not give up?
Yeah. And so like this video here is more just to let people know who I am, because some people have never seen me on TV or whatever. But taking piece of it, like you're saying, and plugging into my speeches and the things that I do and we're talking about is a visual, and then translating it like you've been talking about is very helpful to me. And that's something I understand.
Candy has one.
Oh, Andy?
Actually, I'm kind of pulling it back more towards the marketing, because that's what I know. One, I know that you're a one-man show, and I know from being a small business owner and talking to other small business owners, the hardest part is finding a team and being able to afford a team, because once you afford a team, then all of a sudden you're doing what you're meant to do, and you're not doing these little things that are siphoning away your time. I would suggest looking at the universities for interns to be able to help you. There's a lot of college kids who are looking for some work experience that are able to work for free, that do it for credit. I just talked to a prospect yesterday. She has 5 MBA students that set up her website, set up her sales funnel, did all this stuff, and a marketing plan for her as part of what they're doing for their MBA. So I encourage you to look at that, because that I think would help you. I mean, even being able to afford an admin at a virtual assistant, so not somebody local, somebody you pay by the hour, you don't have to pay them 40 hours a week, to have her go like this. Yes, I'm calling from EJ Snyder's office, and we are looking for speaking engagements. Are you having somebody who's spending 10 hours a week looking for your opportunities? That itself would pay for itself. The other thing that I would suggest is for your speaker one sheet. A speaker one sheet is what you hand, for those who don't know, for speakers is what you hand out that talks a little bit about who you are. but also what topics you could speak. I would suggest changing the focus of yours a little bit more, so it's about what they get out of it. Like, people who hire me typically are, corporate raiders, or these people, as everybody was saying here, of how it can translate.
Yeah.
I think if you have that there, it would be easier for you to find more speaking engagements, because they would look at it and go, oh yeah, this is my business, and I see how he would speak to that.
I mean, I think this one's more of a general sheet because I do so many different things. It's what I
Right.
have at general trade shows. So maybe I have to develop, just a straight up
Right.
speaking sheet
Right.
and then a straight up
Yeah.
appearance sheet.
Google speaker one sheet, because that's the phrase they use,
Yeah.
speaker one sheet, and it'll show you, and you can see all sorts of, and then don't try to do it yourself. I put down on here a couple of resources that you can find for low cost of people who can do this and do it beautifully and not cost a lot of
Perfect.
money. I think that's probably it.
I
So
appreciate
those
it.
were my
I've-
two
I've
suggestions.
managed to find a few folks that are helping me and believe in me at like zero cost, and they're higher end, but that's a great suggestion. And like you said, the team, I know how important a team is, and then cost effectiveness is also something right now for me is something that, I'm a bit of a control freak. So for me, I have to personally understand that, I speak of trust, and I have to understand the people that I've been with. Now, my fourth webmaster, I couldn't trust those people, and when they've crossed that line where they've just not done the things you've asked them, it's ruined with me. And so, that's hard for me to and I finally found a guy that's really been pretty solid. So, but I understand completely. So,
Only other thing that I would suggest is find a coach, a business coach who understands speakers, because that is going to take you from where you are, and it's going to exponentially take you further than you can be just working on your own. Somebody who knows about this stuff, who can help guide you and provide you resources. A business coach it's probably one of the most painful things to be able to afford, and one of the best things that you will ever put your money towards.
thank you.
I think you have a question.
I didn't really have a question, I just had a statement. I had watched that episode, not the one where you were paired off with the lady, but the one where you and the guy were together, for Naked and Afraid. And what I personally got out of it, I thought you guys, what was it? It was the Excel challenge, that's what it was. What I personally got out of it was I thought that you guys did better as far as getting food and things like that, because you had a more positive attitude approach to things in the other team. So, I mean, I see where you're coming from, only because I've watched the segment.
Right.
I enjoyed it.
And I think,
It was
like
like
what everyone
never
said
quit,
earlier, if
give
I
up.
can capture some of
Never
that
quit.
stuff into lessons, and that for some of my different speeches, I do have video clips in there that we refer back to, and we use those to talk about, to generate discussions about certain aspects. Teamwork obviously is in there a lot, communications, and those things. But this is all great stuff. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I love watching your dual spot. The thing I keep hearing about is transitions. You're constantly transitioning. I spent 8 years in the Air Force. I get deployed, and I have to go into my survival techniques there. And the next day, with the speed of transportation, I got back from Desert Storm, and I'm in the middle of doing what I do at home, and my daughters, 2 teenage daughters that my wife is taking care of the whole time by herself. My oldest one stopped me dead in my tracks when she said, "You're not my commander, you're my dad." And one of the things that I think you'd be great at is teaching different groups and go along with your kids, because I'm sure your kids have got stories. My kids know it wasn't easy growing up with me as a dad. My wife knows it's not easy going back to work. So you may want to look at doing a soft side of your presentations too, that where your kids talk about this or this or this, where you can go in and say, because you've got many more groups. And I know the Army's getting better. The Air Force had no transitioning. You're just in this environment one day, and you're another one. Simple things like, don't come up behind me and touch me, because the next thing you know, you're being hurt, and you're apologizing for doing it. Stuff that we all know, but people don't know about it. So that's one of the things I think that you'd be very good at. Is
Try to be my kids on the roller coaster with that.
Well, and again, it helps them too, because they get to talk about some of those things.
Yeah.
And maybe your spouse, I don't know if she likes getting them. My wife didn't know she was a great instructor until I basically conned her into getting out in front of folks, and she's twice the instructor I am.
Wow.
You don't need to say that.
I want to go along with what everybody's been saying, but also what he's been saying. I think what's missing that I'm not seeing is the person standing in front of me now. Because there's a very personal side of you. I mean, we see the go team, you know, I'm out in the wilderness beating and killing the electric eel. And, you know, you've got the motivational side, go team, but there's a very personal guy standing here in the middle. And I think that that's something that's not being connected as well. That we need to see that in addition to all that, you also are a very personal person and have, like he said, personal relations and all that. So it makes us feel like we really know you, even though we just might have met you 10 minutes ago. It pulls the audience into what you're saying because we can relate to you as a person.
And as you just said that, there are some video clips that I know right in my head right now through these adventures where they did a very good job of capturing that of me. And so where this is more of the action, hey, this is my website video, there's a time like after I killed that one electric eel with the spear, myself and my partner had a very big confrontation about hunting styles and how she felt, and it really offended her. So I had to go, you know, one, calm down because I was very adrenalined up, and then talk about some things to myself, and I talked to trees and everything else that's out there to listen to me, and go back, and absolutely the team was so important to me that I needed to apologize and come to a level of understanding that I knew she wouldn't get to my level. And through my years of leadership counseling in the military and all that stuff, I understood people very well that what I had to do for the team. And so for me, that's like a moment I could see where that side of me comes out. Because I'm wearing my emotions on my sleeve. And there are several clips I think that I could grab, like you were saying, to show this side of me. Because
And that's important, and I like that because it shows that in the middle of a stressful situation, I still need to remember my team and all that. But I still think you need a clip of you outside of all of that,
yeah.
like you are today. You're just a human being that we can relate to. And I think if you add that with what you were just saying, it just brings the bigger picture.
And there are several pictures I have that I think in a collage of things, like one of my favorite pictures over in Iraq, the last time I was there, 15 months, was after we had a suicide attack on the police academy that I had helped build. And we lost 60 local police Iraqis. And this one gentleman they were having separate memorial services. And I went to one of these memorial services and he had 8 kids. And one of the youngest with their little teddy bear comes, I'm sitting down watching this whole thing I set up. And I'm just sitting there, and for whatever reason, she knew in the sense that I played Santa Claus or whatever, jumps up on my lap, and you know, this Newsweek photographer caught a picture of it with me just, and all that, you know, this big dude holding this little girl on his lap as if she was my own kid, which is where my, you know, my heart is. And I think those pictures capture 1,000 words, like you say, and that might be helpful.
Make sure a real person, not just the one we see on TV.
That's me.
So what I hear you saying, though, outside of, is that you have these things, but you just weren't prepared to do. You didn't think that's what today was about.
No, today I thought was clearly me talking to the community about what I do,
Okay.
not a murder board, which is what I've been through in the military, which I am fully prepared for because I never let you never let them see you sweat.
Right.
Oh yeah, I always felt if you talk with confidence, everybody will believe exactly that.
So
You sell it.
kind of connecting with what Cindy was saying, people are going to connect with your vulnerabilities.
Right. Okay.
And that's probably going to be very difficult for you.
No, not for me at all, because, and I understand what you're saying, but people that really know me, they see me as a hardened exterior, but no, I have a huge heart of gold. The charities I work for, I mean, the things I do, what I put out there, you know, that part of me always kept protected because I got bullied as a kid. So that very emotional kid I had to put under a hardened shell to protect
And that's the
it. But that
story
stuff
you
comes, yeah, those
That,
things come
that
out.
vulnerability,
Yeah.
that I'm a real person, this is kind of what Cindy
Yeah.
was saying. I have been broken. I have been, those are where you're really gonna connect with people and they're gonna go,
Yeah.
he's not, because here's honest,
Yeah.
when I look at your marketing stuff, I honestly think, oh wow, he's tough, you know, and for me, it's somewhat off-putting, just in the sense that it becomes surreal.
Understood. I mean, anybody, like I said, no one's, obviously, not many have came to any of my speaking engagements to where I do connect a lot of my life stories.
There was
The struggles.
I think that that's what I'm hearing, is he's saying, I have all those parts, I have the vulnerability parts, I have all these things. We didn't see that because he wasn't thinking along those lines based upon what today was supposed to be about, but I'm hearing him saying that these are all things.
But this is
that
all
should
great
cover.
information that
I
I'm
wanna know
very
too-
accepting like a sponge on, because, like I said, I got a photographic memory. I might not be taking notes, but my brain has already calculated all these things and compartmentalized them,
And you
so.
had said something at one point about a birthday parties. How does that work into, what do you incorporate into that, and how does that?
Depending on the age group, like, I don't try to go any lower than 10 years old, because they really have an extension, as a camp counselor for years, when I was a teenager, kids' attention spans are only so wide. And so I did an experimental one with a friend of mine's son, they're all into scouting, and I did some basic survival, fire, water, these things, taught them about these aspects of survival, but I was trying to do too much in too short a period, and then they were off. So what I've done is I've shortened it down to like these survival demos I do for schools, and I just teach the basics, and then we do one or two cool little experiments that are supervised, and it's fun, and we get through it within a couple hours. And then we have this one little end like challenge, which is like kind of a relay race with teams, and they're doing all the different things, getting water, getting ready to
The one you did at the leadership?
something like that. Yeah, that one was a little more designed towards the team building, but kids find that just as fun. So something similar, but more kid level. Now, if it's more teenagers, obviously we're not going to make it as cartoony, I guess, for lack of a better word. But and I do those occasionally. It's just something else that I try to stay very broad based, because I have a very specialized kind of thing I do, and I don't close any doors. I try to just keep my calendar full.
A good webmaster will be able to take the videos and the front screen of all those, and so if somebody types in teen exercises, your face shows up. Someone says, eat a bug, your face shows up. Someone says,
Yeah.
kill a commie, your face shows
Yeah,
up. Different things on there, because you do these other things. So, we compartmentalize ourselves, we lose all the other stuff around.
Right.
And nothing used to kill me more than somebody said, gee, it's a shame you can't do this. You go, I could do that. And so that you just need to get people out to do that.
So these are great points, and I've just had this guy maybe 3 weeks, so we're moving that way, and appreciate all that stuff, because I know that's what I need. I know in each, like when you pull up motivational speaking, that's what you should be getting. When you pull up survival or adventure training, that's what you should be getting. And so we have a good plan. It's very, very stringent, written out, and I've sent it to the first guy, and he failed miserably. So this guy, I'm giving him a page at a time, so he can just kind of work it. And he's got a great price. It's free.
EJ, I'm gonna take the last question.
Okay.
What can we as a community do to help you?
If you could share my website and who I am and what I can bring to the table, which is enhancing your next meeting or luncheon or whatever it is you're having, your gathering or seminars with a motivational speaker like myself that's kind of different and outside the box, but can guarantee once we get together and talk about whatever your mission statement is or what it is you're trying to get to your audience, I can get there. I do, like I said, celebrity appearances for your next fundraising event, your charity event, your next big thing. I think I rate at least a bouncy house, which some people say, oh, well, how much you charge? Well, this is what I am. That's kind of expensive, don't you think? I'm like, well, you're going to have a bunch of bouncy houses. Don't I at least rate a bouncy house, But if you feel that your event is that important and that you want to bring people in, you think my celebrity is going to help bring more folks in to get your rates up, like I said, I give you the hometown discount rate. So please let folks know I'm available for those things here locally. I mean, keep beating the Dogwood Festival in the head and they just can't figure it out. But as soon as I show up down there, I've got a crowd of people around me, and they're wondering why the security and the police got to come over to kind of break up the crowd. It's just, it's that kind of thing. If I go down on the fourth Friday or it was the first Friday, whatever it's called, that just happens all the time. So I believe there's a value in what I can bring to this community currently as the most current and active TV persona in the state with what I got going on. And, those are the two big things. And then I do survival seminars. I work with Hakeem Isler, who runs Elbow Dynamics downtown, with the Soil Foundation, which is out in Robbins. And I think we're getting ready to have something on the 20th of May. We're having an introduction to tracking class. That might be everybody's bag, but in the summer, Hakeem and I do a lot of work with kids. We run little camps and try to build up their confidence, their self-confidence, their attention to detail, communication skills through all kinds of little cool events we do. Just to get people outside too. We spend too much time around concrete, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.